Hey guys, so the last week or so we have been learning how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Now I'm going to introduce the second method to you, which is solving by using the square root. To recap what we're doing, the big purpose of this is we're trying to find the 2 or 1 or none, the x-intercepts that a quadratic might have, the one that you're solving for. So go ahead and title this Solving Quadratic Equations Using Square Roots. And your essential question is, how can you determine the number of solutions a quadratic equation has? And we're going to keep it simple. We're going to have a binomial first, where that b is missing, in the form of ax squared plus c equals 0. And remember, this is where when it's set equal to 0, that's where you're really trying to solve, when you're trying to find the two places that your quadratic crosses the x-axis. So let's go ahead and get started on examples. All right, all we're learning how to do is to solve a quadratic equation for x by using algebra. This is where we're going through that PC sad me, and we're really going to focus in on undoing exponents. Really going to focus there. So example 1, there's no parentheses, no like terms, no addition or subtraction we need to undo, but there is multiplication. First we're going to divide by -3, divide by -3, x squared equals 75 divided by 3. 75 is 25, okay? Undo the exponent of squaring, which would be square rooting. So we have to square root both sides, and the square root of 25 is plus or minus 5. So this one has the x-intercepts of x equals -5, 0, and x equals 5, 0. All right. But I'm okay if you leave it in this form. All right, example 2. Undo addition by taking away 12, taking away 12. All right, now we have 10 minus 12, and 10 minus 12 is -2 equals x squared, square root x, square root. X equals plus minus, no plus minus, equals square root of -2. This one, no solution, meaning it doesn't cross the x-axis, because you cannot times anything by itself and get a negative number. A negative square root does not exist. There's not a number times itself. Well, that will get you a -2. So that, no solution when it's a negative. All right, let's go to example 3. We're going to go to plus 15, plus 15. 4x squared equals 0. Oh, we're going to move over here. 4x squared equals 0. We're going to divide by 4, divide by 4. X squared equals 0. Take the square root of x squared, take the square root of 0, x equals 0. So what did we have going on in these 3 examples? Here's when we had 2 solutions, here's when we had no solutions, and we had 1 solution here. This one was at the origin. All right, let's do 3 more examples. All right. For example 4, because x plus 7 is inside the parentheses, we have 2 options. We can find the product of x plus 7 times x plus 7. In my head, that's more work, so I'm not going to find the product of that. I'm going to undo exponents first by taking the square root. Square root. This will be easier. We'll have x plus 7 equals 0 now. because the square root of 0 is 0. We did the square root on the left-hand side to get rid of that squaring. All right, now we're going to take away 7. Take away 7. X equals, oh, did I put 2 there? Sorry, 7, negative 7. This x-intercept is at negative 7. So we had one solution here. Example 5. We're going to have to undo this multiplication of 4 first. So we're going to divide by 4. Divide by 4. X minus 3 squared equals 9/4. I'm going to keep that as 9/4. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Take the square root of both sides. All right, now on here, on this side, I'm going to have x minus 3. This side, let me go ahead and break it down for you. We're taking the square root of 9 divided by 4, which is equal to the square root of 9 over the square root of 4, which is equal to plus minus, because there's two answers since these are two positive square roots, 3 over 2. Which means over on the right-hand side, we're going to have minus 3 over 2. Then we'll have to add 3 to both sides. And we add 3 to the right-hand side, we're going to have to add 3 to a positive 3/2 and to a negative 3/2. So x equals negative 3/2 plus 3, and x equals positive 3/2 plus 3. So we'll simplify this. This would be 3 3/2. I'm going to have to change bases. I wanted to say 2. This will say 6. So actually this one is 3/2. Okay, this one, simplify this side. I'm going to change this to 6 divided by 2. 3 plus 6 is 9 over 2. And I'm okay if you leave it as an improper. There we go. Example 6, our last example. We're going to undo our squaring by taking the square root of both sides. Taking the square root of both sides. 2x plus 1 equals the square root of 35 is some pretty hideous number. It's 5.916079. So it is easier if we leave the square root of 35 as the square root of 35. But recognize that this one is going to have two solutions. So I'm going to put plus minus out here to remind myself. How do I know it's going to have two solutions? Because it's a positive number inside. All right, then we're going to take away 1. I'm going to take away 1. All right, let me rewrite over here. Here's what we got going on now. 2x equals plus minus the square root of 35 minus 1. Our last step that we need to do is to divide by 2, and we will have that x equals, I'm okay if you leave it in this format. Actually, you might see it sometimes like this when you're taking a square root of a number that's not a nice number, meaning an irrational decimal, a repeating decimal. You'll see it in this format. It will say x is equal to, and I have to include this plus minus because there's two different answers, square root of 35 minus 1 divided by 2. All right, I know I kind of went quickly through these examples. It's because I kind of went off of the assumption that you remember from our last unit that square roots undo squaring, and that when you square root, you know that there's going to be two different answers. So, all right, I need you guys to work on these 4 on your own problems. When you're ready to go over your answers, go ahead and press play, and you will figure out what you did. All right, the first one you should have got that x is equal to 10 and x is equal to negative 10. Number 2, you should have got no real solutions. I forgot the L, SLO. Solutions. Number 3, you should have got one solution at x equals 0. Number 4, you should have got two solutions at x equals 4 and x equals negative 8. All right, go ahead and answer your essential question and go to the checkpoint. I hope you guys have a good day.